Welcome back, winos! As always, we are so grateful that you are part of our wino family and that you take the time to listen to us each episode.
The last couple of episodes, we've talked about building your own family and community within the HR industry. And we thought a great way to wrap that up would be to talk to our special guest today, Keith, who will introduce himself in just a minute because he built an HR community. And so today we're going to get to hear all about Whine Dine, which you've heard about before on the show because we just launched our Cleveland chapter. Next one's May 20th, by the way, peeps. But anyway, Whine Dine, for those of you who don't know, Whine Dine Networking is an HR networking community. It's been around for 23 years. It's in 21 cities monthly, 50 US states, and 40 countries. So that is a hell of a community that our special guest Keith started. So, Keith, oh wait.
Cheers, Keith!
Yes, cheers, Keith.
That's amazing.
Yes. So, Keith, you know a little bit about the show, but we always start with the WINE of the episode. And today we are recording on Cinco de Mayo. So I'll share mine real quick, and then I'm going to throw it over to you, and you can tell everybody a little bit about yourself. But first of all, I will do a little video of this later, but for Keith and Trish, I'm sharing these marble coasters that you put in the freezer and they keep your wine cold.
What?
Yes, without having to put ice in it. And then they give you these like stainless steel glasses. So today, in honor of Cinco de Mayo, I made myself a white wine margarita because I still got to have my wine.
Lovely.
So it has both tequila and wine. So anyway, this should be a really fun episode.
Okay, I'm excited about that. I'm not going to lie.
All right. So anyway, it's my Grazie white blend that I absolutely love. And then it's orange juice, lime concentrate plus actual lime and tequila. So real simple. But anyway, it's quite lovely. So Keith, what are you drinking? And tell everybody we're going to get into how you started Whine Dine in just a minute. So for now, just tell them what you would like them to know about you.
Wow, that's
quite
a doorway.
Yeah,
That's
within reason.
Yes, I see Trish is already figuring some things out here. That's okay. Good job. Well, firstly, it is a privilege and an honor to be here. Thank you very much for inviting me on your show. Thank you also very much for spelling the word wine correctly. I appreciate that a great deal because, as you haven't mentioned yet, Whine Dine is spelled with an H like you do, and which is kind of what brought us together.
Yes.
Which we'll get to that in a bit too.
Good taste.
But the most important question you asked me is what I'm drinking. So naturally, I should share that with you. I guess I'm breaking the rules today because I'm not actually drinking wine, but I'm drinking something that could be mistaken for wine. It's in the beer category. It is Lindemans Creek Cherry Lambic beer. For those of you who like sweet, very sweet, and very cherry, it is outstanding. I happen to be a beer snob, and this is going to sound really weird, but if it tastes like regular beer, I don't typically drink it. I'll drink white Belgian whites, or I'll drink like Guinness Stout, black and tan. And then for fun, I'll drink some of the fruity beers as well. But the stuff that tastes like traditional beer just doesn't really interest me. So I introduce myself all the time as a 30-year HR practitioner, and I use the same 9 words when I'm what I call branding myself: senior HR business partner, employee engagement, global communications. The reason I created that 9-word expression was because branding. Went from an employment and career standpoint. Nobody has time for the 2-minute pitch, the 1-minute pitch, or even the 30-second pitch anymore. So I've distilled me into 9 words, and I just say the same thing all the time. I also do some interesting things. I'm a big, huge sports fanatic, so I travel the country to go to sporting events. I'm a non-denominational ordained minister, so every now and then I take people down the road of destruction. Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, I help get them married. For fun originally, but now it's a bit more serious. I build community.
I love that so much. And Julie is also ordained.
I am.
By
I think we've talked about that before. Yes.
I'm kind of feeling left out of the club here.
It's another way of bringing people together,
That's
which is what I do best.
Yep.
I would definitely agree with that. This is the first time you and I have spoken face to face, even though it's over the internet. And I feel like I already know you based on conversations with Julie and just based on our few minutes before the show started. I feel like I've known you forever. So I totally can understand that that is your superpower.
Well,
and when I make
people
my way
together.
back to Detroit for our Wine and Dine chapter there, you better come on down, wherever it is you are coming from.
I will.
yeah, and I'll come
I will be
over.
there.
I'll
I
come over.
promise.
But Keith, before Trish tells us about her wine, she was with me at Forage when we nailed that down as the location. So she helped secure that spot. So.
Yeah.
Outstanding choice, let me tell you. Outstanding.
Thank you. Yes, we were quite happy. So I'm one of these days I will get down there for the actual Wine and Dine event. But unfortunately, it won't be anytime soon. So speaking of the wine, let's get to it. We've been chit-chatting just like old friends for a while. Let me talk about
okay. I thought you were going to skip to the WHINE. I'm like, but you haven't told us what you're drinking.
No,
Okay.
I would not do that because I have a surprise for you,
Oh, boy.
Julie. Matua.
Oh, that's right. You said they have a Pinot Noir?
Yes. So Keith, Julie and I love Matua. They are out of New Zealand. We both drink their Sauvignon Blanc. It's we both have described it as zippy, as you want your Sauvignon Blancs to be. But here's the crazy part. This Pinot Noir is zippy as well. I actually took it out of, I had a Red Wings wine tumbler that I just got, and I was putting it in there, and I was like, it's too zippy for that kind of, so I had to actually put it in a Wine with HR wine glass instead. So made it a lot better. The flavors in it, just for those of you who haven't heard us talk about it, which I can't immediately imagine you haven't. Matua is a Maori word meaning head of the family, and so they have been producing the wines for about just over 40 years. This particular Pinot, the flavors are raspberry, dark cherry with a silky finish. So all of the things that you know I love. But I love this. It is great enjoyed with spicy Asian cuisine. Wait, or pizza.
Well, hey.
Well,
I was like, okay, I need to try both
thank
of
you
those.
for covering all the food
so
groups. I appreciate that.
All right.
Right? The most important ones. So at first I was kind of not so sure because of the zippiness. However, as my tongue is kind of settled into it, I'm starting to taste more of the flavors. So I will reserve judgment, but I think I could appreciate this
Okay.
one. It's, you know me and Pinots anyway.
MATUA.
Mm-hmm.
MATUA, correct.
You know I'm taking notes here. You know that, right?
Well,
Yes, of course.
Well,
of
I
course.
think it's also a fitting wine right before Mother's Day because head of the family, lots of mothers are the heads of the family. So cheers to all the moms out there
Yes.
that are
Cheers,
both
moms.
here with us and up in heaven. I know.
Here, here.
All right, Trish. So before we get into all of our questions for Keith, we, of course, have to have
Stat time! Do-do-do-do-do-do. One of these days.
We're still
gonna get
workshopping that part, but it's all good. So what you got for us?
As we've been talking about in this entire series, belonging is absolutely critical. When you are looking at return on investment initiatives, right? One of the most imperative ones you can get for HR professionals is this sense of belonging. This can be a huge driver for, of course, and your regular employee engagement, retention, and performance. The same things Julie and I are talking to about all the time because they're the most important. Fostering belonging, here comes the stats for you, reduces turnover by about 50%, or the risk of turnover by about 50%. It boosts performance by 56%, and I love this one, decreases sick days by 75%. It is no surprise that when we start thinking about it, that we're talking about that fundamental human need. It's met when we have community. And when you have that community, you are, as an employee, 3.5 times more likely to contribute your fullest potential. Pretty great stats,
those
huh?
are pretty great and more positive than the ones we share. So
Yeah.
that's a nice switch.
Yes, I would agree.
Yeah, well,
Yes.
we got to.
And I think we all intuitively know that belonging and having a community to belong to matters, but it's always nice to have that backed up by data, which of course we always like to do here on the show. And of course, we will put the sources to those stats in the show notes so everybody can find them on their own. But so that brings us to Keith and Wine and Dine. So Keith, why don't you tell us a little bit about the origin story of Wine and Dine and what made you start it? And, we'll start there.
How much time do we have? Just kidding. The short version of it is I always start by saying I started it when I got pissed off. And it's not far from true. You said that Whine Dine was 23 years old, and that's true. We just had our 23rd anniversary in March. Back in late 2002, before it was started, I was in the process of, as an HR director for a company, helping the company go out of business. Putting out packages, giving myself a package, everybody, the lights were going out. I was going to be one of the people who turned the lights out. And my friend Janet, who's one of the original 5 people from the very first Wine and Dine dinner, as a matter of fact, but this is before we thought about that. She said to me, Keith, you need to go out there and network. Now, I'd never heard that word be used before, at least in that concept. So as the famous story now goes, I looked at Janet and I said, why would I want to play with the cables in the back of my computer? I genuinely didn't know what the F she was talking about. I said, okay, let's figure out what this networking thing really is. So I kind of did some research, and my research came up with building community, sharing resources, bringing people together, sharing opportunities, not just job opportunities, but knowledge opportunities, bringing people together for the greater good, if you will. I thought, that's great. I kind of had lived that life already. I was raised in a house where my father was the head of one of the major political parties for our township, and he was also very influential in statewide politics. And we were constantly hosting people at the house. I was taught from the time I was 3 and 4 years old to open the door and shake hands and, hi, how are you? And tell me about yourself and all that stuff. I just didn't know what I was doing. I said, okay, that sounds like a really cool thing to go do. And I might, generate opportunity along the way because I was about to be out of work. So I went to everything that called itself a networking event. Everything. Didn't meet anybody. I would go to, and I have high esteem.
That's crazy.
I would have high esteem for all these organizations that I'm going to mention. We HR people know what SHRM is. Obviously, it's the national governing body of our profession. I would go to, what was at the time ASTD, what is now ATD. And all sorts of other organizations, all of whom claim to be networking groups, except they all did the same format and they all did the same thing. They would have a period of time at the beginning of their meetings with agendas, a period of time where people were supposed to talk to each other. Then they would throw out some food and people would eat a little bit of food. Then there would be a speaker. And then after the speaker was done, there would be more time for people to talk to each other. But that's not how humans operate. When humans have seen an agenda like that, they will show up just in time for the food. They will eat the food, they will listen to the speaker, and they will bolt. Because humans don't instinctively value relationships, which is pretty sad. But so I kept going to all these different groups and I kept not meeting anybody. Yeah, sure, I met a person or two, but I wasn't meeting people the way I thought I would. So I came to the conclusion that networking was BS. I thought it was crap. I didn't think it was real. So I gave up on it. But I did say to Janet and my friend Jerome and my friend Jerry and other people, here's something. Why don't we just do it ourselves? Nobody else actually does it. Let's just go to a restaurant and we're going to spend some time networking. And I did it just like that with a sneer in my voice. 5 of us, Macaroni Grill, Edison, New Jersey, March 18th, 2003. I just thought we were having one dinner, except we had a lot of fun. So we all agreed we would come back the next month in April. And when we did, each one of us brought a friend. So 5 became 10. And it happened again. So we came back in May and 10 became 20. And literally, those were the numbers. And in June, we were 40. And it was in May that everyone said, this is great. We're having a good time. We should do this all the time. Hey, Keith, you're the one sending out the emails reminding people. Keep doing that. And that's how I defaulted into the role of leading this thing that didn't even exist. There was no intention to have a group. And in fact, for 5.5 years, I then took the reins. I'm like, okay, this is great. Why not? Let's have some fun. Let's party once a month. And I'm sure we did. For 5.5 years, it was only Edison, New Jersey, because, well, it revolved around me. And I wasn't going to travel to have a party. I was going to have it in my own backyard. And it wasn't until the beginnings of the throes of the Great Recession, when instead of people getting together and just helping each other live lives and achieve stuff, then it became a lot more job search oriented. That's when the screams from other cities, the little whispers from other cities became screaming. Apparently, since about the early part of 2005 or maybe even late 2004, I was getting calls from people saying, hey, I'm in this city. That sounds like a lot of fun, but we don't do it here. Would you consider it? And I kept saying, no, I'm not anywhere near Stamford, Connecticut, or Atlanta, Georgia, or Boston. I'm not. Why would I do that? But I finally gave in, thinking nobody would pay attention in July of 2008. I don't say this wrong, so you might want to write this down. I don't say this very often, I should say. So you might want to write this down. I was wrong.
I'm marking the date and the time.
But, oh my, Stamford, Connecticut, 25 people showed up with no advertising. The next week, the same thing happened in the middle of the Poconos, where there aren't even humans. The week after that, 45 people showed up in New York City, and I knew I had a thing. And the rest, as they say, is history. The whole thing is an accident, born of frustration and born of a void where people obviously needed something to fill the void and no one else was doing it. And to this day, I really don't think anyone else is. Credit to the Disrupt HR people, because they're doing some of it. And no knock on them, but they're trying to make money from doing it. They're like really wired to make money from doing it, charge a lot of money to be there, etc. So it's kind of motivated by somewhat different things, but they are also doing a good job of bringing community together. There are other groups that are struggling and failing to do it. I think that there's a group out of New York City now called Funny People HR that's doing an interesting job of doing it. So I like what they're doing. They're not charging any money, so I really like their approach. So it's very hard to find a group where the focus is to build community. Oh, and by the way, when I said let's go and do something, let's go to a restaurant and just hang out, that was the formula that I didn't even realize would take hold very soon after that. It was no speakers, no presentations, no sales pitches, no agenda. We don't even, as Julie knows, I don't like calling it a meeting. I get very cranky when someone uses that word. It is an event. Or if you want to call it a gathering, that's fine. But a meeting denotes agenda, and we sure as heck don't have one of those. We do nothing, and we're proud of it.
I feel like some of the best ideas are number one, born from nothing.
Yes.
But number two, just kind of happen. When something happens organically and it grows and there's a demand for it,
Mhm.
and if you're paying attention and you're at the right time. So that's pretty amazing.
And the weird thing is I
Um
fought against it for so long. I didn't want it to be more than one
yeah.
city. I literally fought against it, but I was
Twice.
wrong.
We got to hear it twice. So, how'd you come up with Wine and Dine, Whine and Dine?
Another accident, actually. And I have to give credit to the other people who were at that first dinner. So it was at the first dinner, even though when we identified that name, we didn't really think about it as a long-lasting name. But at the very first dinner, and I do kind of have images of this happening, even though it was a long time ago. I remember we don't wine a whole lot at our dinners, at our events. We don't really wine, but that first night, oh, did we wine? The whole theme of those 4 hours in that restaurant was HR sucks. Everything about it sucks. And we were just going to town. And about 2 hours into we're all at this point, most of our wine and dines we usually stand up and mill about. But this one, back in the early days, we were sitting at a dinner table. So there were, I think, five of us around the table. And about halfway through, I just like, wow, we are really whining. And I just left it at that. And I didn't think about it. I don't know whether it was 30 seconds or 2 minutes or 5 minutes later. I looked down at my food and I'm like, and we're dining. And I did not put those two statements together. But the other four people at the table instantly and simultaneously went, aha! Like, what? What did I do? They all caught the connection between the two statements. And so we jokingly referred to the evening as wine and dine. But we remembered that. So months later, when we were doing this on a regular basis, we kind of gave ourselves a name. And the back half of that story, that's how we got the name. But the real question is how do we keep it? Because it's not a very serious name. It's just a goofy name. But somewhere around 2009, we had suddenly jumped to like 8 or 10 cities that quickly back then. And I started to think, wow, maybe I can do something new. Maybe we can create something real, because I didn't even look at myself as doing something real. I was like, maybe this will become some big thing. So I started asking my friends, maybe I should change the name. What do you think? You think there's any other decent names for something that we're doing? Maybe we should, consider that. Oh, that was a mistake. If you can touch that name, I will beat the out of you. I mean, they were angry. Every one of them was really angry at me for considering changing what had become a brand. I had no idea. Not a clue. To me, I was just still having fun, goofing off. It had literally become a brand, and it had become a brand then throughout all those cities, and now it's obviously everywhere. But to me, it was just us having fun. For sure, I didn't get it. I really didn't. I didn't pay attention. But I get it now. Now I understand.
So you said that it was kind of a natural thing for you to be social and interact and say hello to people. What kind of advice do you have for people who are nervous to show up for something like this because they maybe think, I think this is the word I want to use, they think they need a structured event with some sort of an agenda to make them feel more comfortable. So what would you say to them?
To be fair, Whine Dine is not for everybody. We've had many HR practitioners and others come through our events, recognize there was no structure that they need, and never come back. And that's okay. There's nothing out there that is for everybody. So, and we're certainly no different. And HR people are raised on the concept of the way SHRM does it, for instance, structure, guidance, process, agenda, all that stuff. So for many years, that's what they've done. That's all they understand. So it's hard for some people to switch to what we do or to consider a different way of doing things. I have two main pieces of advice for people who, whether they're introverts or whether they're stuck in process or whatever. Especially for the introverts, don't go to the event without first reaching out to the leaders of the event. Know somebody before you walk in the door, you'll feel more comfortable.
Love that.
And the other is try not to show up alone. Bring a friend. Now, I do have a philosophy, Julie's heard this, never dance with the one you brung, which means once you show up with a friend, you've already met that person. You're there to meet other people, so split up. But if you need to hang with your friend because you're a real introvert, you do what you need to do, but get yourself out there.
Yeah. I think that's really important. And we talked a little bit about that on one of our recent episodes. And even I think I put it in some posts when I was talking about the Whine Dine Cleveland, like, hey, if you are feeling nervous about showing up because you don't know anybody, just come find me. I'm going to be there. I'll be looking for you. I'll be the friendly face you can come up to. So I think it's also on us extroverts to like make sure we're looking. Yeah, I
What?
know, right?
What?
That we're looking out for those people who may not be quite so comfortable just walking up to somebody and being like, "Hey, I'm Julie," here's my whole life story. No, just kidding. You don't get my whole life story the first time, maybe just a smidge. Smidge and a half. That's a We Are the Millers reference for those of you who may be familiar. I love that movie. But I think like that's important. But so Keith, why do you think it's so important? Trish gave the stats at the beginning. We were talking a lot about isolation and burnout in the past couple of episodes and why that is one of the reasons community amongst HR professionals is so important. But like, why do you think it's so important for us to have a community of our own, of people who are kind of in the same boat as us?
The first one that comes to mind is, to be fair, we all want to be special and unique and original and all that, but reality says that in the world of human resources, everything's been done. You cannot invent anything new. You can make it look all shiny and different, but I guarantee you someone out there has done it before you. So why are we working so hard and constantly recreating the wheel? When you build a community, the point of the community is not just to make friends, not just to drink wine, although that's admirable, but it's also to share. If I'm going to, let's say I'm early in my career and they say to me, build us an onboarding process. Yeah, I get we have AI now, but you also want to have that human touch of other people who have done it before you. Build a recruitment platform, build this, build that, whatever. There are so many, before the advent of AI, I've written, I can't tell you how many employee handbooks in my life, but I will typically speak to other people and I'll say, do you have a template? And I'll take a few different templates and I'll take the best of all that stuff and I'll put it into the new version of the new company. There's so many examples like that. So why reinvent the wheel when it's all out there? It's all been done. We cannot create something new. It's just it's already done. But beyond that, let's talk about it from the job perspective. How many jobs? That's not the right question. What percentage of jobs are gotten by applying through an online portal? Any online portal. What's the percentage? Do you happen to know that? And by the way, this is a question I'm going to ask in a presentation I'm going to do Thursday afternoon too. So I do it all the time. But I want you to.
29%.
What was that?
29%?
I think it's lower.
Remember, I asked jobs gotten through online portals.
Does that include the customers portal?
All online portals.
I still feel like it's low because you typically need a connection to someone. If you don't have a way to put
Yeah, if only you were talking low.
four,
For those,
4?
I assume we are actually on audio and not
correct.
video at the moment. I'm holding up 4 fingers in the air.
That's
4%.
insane.
Now, on the other side of that coin, conservative estimates put the opportunity to land a job, actually getting a job through referral and introduction at between 70 and 80%.
That makes sense to me.
You're not going to get referred. You're not going to get, yeah, sure, you could probably connect with somebody blindly on LinkedIn, and they might actually pass your resume along because they think you're going to get like a referral bonus. But the reality is, I want to be referred by somebody who says, Keith is fantastic, and you really need to talk to him, and here's his resume, and let me walk it right into your office. When that happens, the chances of even getting interviewed, let alone getting hired, are dramatically higher. So just from a job search perspective, and I don't like to mix networking and job search, but there are connections between them. So just from a job search perspective, it's a no-brainer. But I don't need to be a psychiatrist or a psychologist. I don't need to have statistics with me to know that when we're with a group of people and we're having fun, it's a lot more fun typically than when we're staring out the window by ourselves. Now, I get that we all need our alone time and we all do that at times, but being with people is it's one of the healthiest things we can do. And every wellness person will tell you this stuff. So the idea of building community and being surrounded by people who get you, and trust me, if you're in HR, it ain't easy unless you're around other HR people, because nobody can possibly imagine the crap we go through. Nobody. So,
Truth.
I mean, we talk about this all the time at the events. The idea that during the day, we can't really smile, we can't laugh, we can't joke, we can't have friends, we can't build relationships to speak of. There are ways around all of this, but for the most part, we have to be straight-laced. We can't always share our opinions. And then in the evening, we go to Whine and Dine, and all those stories get told. Oh, we don't say names. We don't reveal identities. We're still good to our oath, if you will, of making sure that we don't reveal people's identities. But we tell the stories. And boy, does it feel good to share it with someone who gets it. Because when we go home, if those of us who have spouses, spouse isn't going to understand that unless they're in HR. So it's, to have like-minded people around who get the bedlam and the insanity and the ridiculousness and the weirdness and all of the other adjectives you can possibly imagine of what we experience. Now, mind you, this might be a good thing for other professions too. Don't get me wrong. It's not like we have the market on stupidity, although it feels like it sometimes. Just having those resources around, someone I can call. I have this challenge at work. What do you think I should do? I have this assignment. Do you have any templates? People helping people is just amazing. I will, and it's also really rewarding to do that, whether it's intentional or not. I wish we had a lot more time because I'd tell you some of the stories from the standard presentation that I give, because there's so many stories that exemplify this. And whether it's for job search or career development, or as I like to say at the end of my presentation, saving lives, it's a whole different, the opportunity to be amongst people and understand what they need and what you need and share and all that is rewarding in ways that unfortunately I think a lot of people don't and won't understand, which is why this isn't for everybody. And that's okay.
Yeah, but the people it is for, it can be something pretty special.
I like to think so,
Yeah.
yes.
All right. So as we get to the end of our episode, what do people do if they are listening to this and are like, I want to wine and dine in my city?
Well, and to be fair, first things first, Wine and Dine is meant for the human resources community. With that said, anyone can go to a wine and dine. There are what I call three types of people that go to wine and dines. The practitioners, what I call the partners, which many people call the vendors, who have a lot of good information. They usually know about stuff before we do, to be fair. So they're kind of valuable to have around. They're not allowed to sell anything. They can't open their mouths like that, but they're allowed to come in and hang out with us. And then the third category is, well, kind of everyone else. And we have this following in various cities of people who have nothing to do with HR, but they come hang out with us anyway, and that's okay.
I call them the HR curious.
So yes, that's I think I'm going to take that. Thank
Go
you.
for it.
The practitioners, the partners, as I like to call them, and the curious. Excellent. For those people who want to go to any of the existing events, the website is there, wineanddine.org. Very easy, with the H, of course. For the people who are in cities where we are not, let's have a conversation. I am really easy to find. I am the only Keith Bogen, Bogen, I think, on LinkedIn. So I'm always the first one, if not the only one to pop up. Let's talk. Seriously, I do have a vision now of bringing this to all corners of the globe, not just the United States. I have had conversations with people in many cities, and when it happens, it happens. I don't rush any of it. People who do this, they're all volunteers. When it's their time, when they feel like they're ready to go, when they have the right team and the right venue and the right approach and all that, they do it. You know, a couple of weeks ago, they did a pretty bang up job in Cleveland launching that chapter. Let me tell you, that was for sure.
Woohoo!
And you know, some things come together very quickly, and I think Julie, ours came together in a couple of months.
Yep.
We have a fabulous group in Detroit. It took 13 months for that to come together. So whenever it happens, it happens.
I'm so excited to go to the one in Detroit.
I know. I'll meet you there.
If I may, a couple more things, because I think this is really important. My friend Jerome Leday, one of my co-founders, is very famous for an expression. Networking is not just for not working. Most people don't network because they think that it's something they have to do when they need something like a job. But networking is something that you should do all the time because it should be fun. And if you're only doing it to find something and to get something, ain't gonna be fun. It's never gonna be fun, and that's why people don't do it. But if they embrace it, and from my perspective, the best way to network is in the name of doing it for other people, not for yourself. If you're doing it for others, if you're trying to help other people, trust me, karma works. It comes back, it helps you. You don't have to try to help yourself if you're out there helping all the other people. To that extent, I'm going to read you, and Julie's seen this many times, the signature line from my email signature that I've had on my email for 15 years now. You have not lived a perfect day unless you have done something for someone else who will never be able to repay you.
Okay. So now you're making
Yeah.
me teary.
Well, and I think
That's a high cheers.
That's a high cheers. Okay, so we do have to wrap this up, but I want to give one more plug based off of what Keith was just talking about. And I think that this is really what it comes to with, I don't even like to use the word networking. I like to say connecting, because you're just connecting with a fellow human, and you're not trying to write the story of that connection. You're just making the connection and seeing where it goes. But there is a great little book that is kind of cheesy, but also the moral is great. It's called The Go-Giver. I don't know. Have you ever read it, Keith? Trish,
I have not, but I'll be writing that one down too.
Trish, you've read it, haven't you? Haven't I made you read this book?
I was just about to say, you and I have talked about it so many times. I need to do it.
You do,
yeah.
Because
all right, it's on my list. I'll read it on the airplane tomorrow.
It's by John David Mann with 2 N's and Bob Berg, B as in boy, U-R-G as in girl. It's called The Go-Giver. It's a very short, very quick read. but I think it will resonate with people based on the conversation we've had today about how you really need to go into things instead of the go-getter being the go-giver, looking for ways you can help others, and that comes back tenfold. So, Keith, thank you so much for being here with us today. To all of our listeners, we will have Keith's contact information in the show notes. You can also find him at whineanddine.org. Again, it's WHINE and dine.org. Also on LinkedIn. And if you're connected with me or Trisha by tomorrow, she'll be connected with Keith if she's not already. You can find him that way. And if you are in the Cleveland area, we meet the third Wednesday of every month starting at 5 p.m. at Forge Public House in Lakewood. We will probably have an East Side chapter soon, so stay tuned. If you want to be a part of that, just reach out to me. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Thanks, Keith.
Thank you very
Appreciate
much. It's been a pleasure and an honor.